Hey sophomores, how you doing? Sorry I cannot be there today. I am not in class today because a couple things came up and I have to go pick up my kids from work. So if you're wondering where Mr. Wood is right now, I'm driving my car right now and I'm going to pick up my daughter. Yep, that's her right there. Isn't she cute? That's a picture of her just recently at her she's now 6 years old. So I'm going to pick her up right now because I have to. So unfortunately it means I can't be here. That's why I made this video. So thank you so much for either Mr. Sullivan or Mr. Kirschbaum for subbing the class. And make sure you pay attention and we're going to do our lesson right now. So before we jump in with our assignment, let's just take a look at this map here down there. So let's take a look at this map, and you've probably already done optic and you've turned in your slips, which is awesome, but I just want to go over a couple of things here real quick when I'm looking at this map. And maybe you've already made these observations. But what I'm really noticing in this map is I'm noticing that the purple color says Latin Christianity, and that green color says Greek Orthodox Christianity. So there's some kind of split that happened in the church here. I think you guys talked about that with the Great Schism in your religion class. Then I also noticed that there's Islam, which we talked about, which is spreading all through North Africa. And Spain has got this weird purple and yellow color going on, which means that there's a mix of Islam and Christianity in Spain. And then if I go to that area where it says Constantinople and general route of the Crusaders, whatever that means, we'll talk about in a little bit, we see a green and like orange tan color mix there too, which kind of shows me that this is how religions are broken up at this time. And there's these arrows where it says route of the Crusades, so we are going to be talking about the Crusades for this next chapter. That is our focus. So let's move and let's go to our next slide there that says the Crusades. Now you don't have to write this down because you have your packet, so don't worry about writing this down right now. So we have the Crusades. However, what you may do right now is in those packets that were handed out is you may write down the essential question. Let me move out of the way here. And you may write down this essential question we have here right up there. You may write that down on the top of your packet. Don't worry about writing the standards down, just write the essential question. And our essential question, which you can write in the top of your packet or on the bottom of the first page of it, is why did the Crusades happen? And what were the effects of the Crusades? This is our big essential question we're going to be looking at. So why did the Crusades happen and what were the effects of the Crusades? This is going to lead to a cause and effect paper which we are going to be typing. So that's going to be our end product. Today you're going to start taking notes in that packet. That packet that you have in your hands, by the way, that packet is going to be worth 8 points for passing the standard. So make sure today you're taking good notes and keep doing that because that's going to help you in the process of passing the standard. So our two standards are compare and contrast Muslim and Christian justifications for the Crusades and how they led to, one of my favorite words, cultural diffusion. All right, and the next one is identify the adoption of Asian technologies by medieval Europe. So Europe is going to get a lot of this good stuff that Asia had, especially from the Silk Road, and it's going to diffuse and make its way into the Europe. And we all know that Europe's going to be really nice when they get this good technology, don't we? Oh, wait, no, not at all. All right, let's continue. So right before we dig into our notes, what I want you to look at here is you don't have this, but you will soon. This is going to be our graphic organizer for our paper. And we have the prompt there, identify and explain the causes and factors leading up to the Crusades and the effect the Crusades had on life in Europe from 1095 to 1291. And there's our points that you're going to need to get a 3.0 or a 4.0. And like I just said, there's basically 14 points to be had on this thing just by doing your daily work. You know, showing up every day, getting your work done like you guys know how to do so well. So again, you're going to pass this standard and you're going to do well if you just follow all the steps. So make sure you're doing that. All right, so let's dig into our homework assignment here. So have this in front of you and make sure you're getting your name on it. So there's a number of sources that are on this packet that we're going to use in our cause and effect paper. The first one we're going to use is from a secondary source, which is going to give us a summary of, what does it say there? Oh yeah, part 1, how Muslims in the Middle East lived in the time of the Crusades. So what we're going to do is before we dive into how the Crusades happened, we're going to look a little bit at what Muslim life was like in the time of the Crusades, and then we'll look at what Christian life was like, we'll look at what caused the Crusades to happen, and then what the Crusades were and the effects. But let's first look at Muslim life, what it was like at the time of the Crusades. We're going to do rule-based summary. Anybody remember what that is? I can't see your hands because I'm not here. Ms. Kirschbaum or Mr. Sullivan, who's ever teaching the class right now, if you want to call on a few people, you can. Does anyone know what rule-based summary is? If you're calling on people, feel free to pause the video. If you got it, great. If not, I'll just tell you. Rule-based summary is basically where we cross out the things that are not necessary so we can focus on what is necessary. It's kind of like reverse highlighting. So if you have it right now, take a highlighter out. But you'd be fine with just a pen or a pencil. So let's read through this first paragraph together, then you'll get the second paragraph, and we will move ahead. So let's begin by reading, and I'll just go ahead and take it. According to the historian Will Durant, the Mideast flourished from 700 to 1200 AD or CE. Those mean the same thing. They led the world in power, order, extent of government, refinement of manner, standards of living, humane legislation and religious tolerance, literature, scholarship, science, and philosophy. That's a lot of stuff. They showed mercy to those they defeated and were seldom guilty of brutality. So right now what we're going to do is cross off the things that you think you don't need from that statement. So why don't you take a moment right now and cross off the excess words, the stuff you think you don't need. And remember, when often we talk about examples, we say example of 2 or 3 is a rule. We always don't need to put everything down. Hint, hint. So we'll pause the video here and go ahead and cross out the words you think you do not know. And let's give you about a minute, minute and a half to get that done. All right. So now, let's take a look at what I would cross out if I was doing this. So compare what you have with what I have here. So I took out the according to historian Will Durant. I didn't think that was very necessary. The they and the I took out. Those are just simple words. Refinement of manner, I don't really even know what that means. I guess they have good manners and stuff and live well. Humane legislation I took out. That means they had like laws that were very good for the people, but I kind of thought like other things already said that. Since I had scholarship, I took out literature. If I took out literature, maybe I could take out scholarship. And I'm just doing this because often when there's a huge series of commas, I basically am getting the point that the Muslims live better than almost anyone. And I don't need every example that I'm going to put in my notes. So I'm just putting a couple of the key ones that I'm going to, focus on. Although I did like science and medicine, maybe I could cross off medicine potentially, but I still kind of wanted that. They I crossed off, and to those who were defeated were. So I just have basically, showed mercy. They're seldom guilty of brutality. If I had a highlighter at this point, I would go and highlight. But again, the main point of rule-based summary is oftentimes when you highlight, we end up just turning our paper from white to orange. Rule-based summary, you cross off the things you don't like, and by doing that, it kind of makes you focus on what's really important. So why don't we do this right now? Right now, we'll do this as a think and a pair with a partner. So why don't you read the next paragraph by yourself? Go ahead and read it. And then cross off the words you think you don't need. And then you can compare in a small group. So go ahead and begin step 1. Read on your own for about 2 to 3 minutes. Crossing out the words that are not important. And we'll pause the video here. Okay, now that 2 or 3 minutes have passed and you've worked on that on your own, now you may compare and case in a group of 2 to 3. Why don't we take a minute or 2 to compare and case what we have? Go for it. And again, we'll pause the video here. All right, sophomores, now that we've done our rule-based summary and crossed off the words we don't need, now take a look at this box down here, and what you're going to do next is take a look at the words you have and write down the most important notes and put them into this box. You're going to want to do a good job of this because these are the notes that are going to go on your paper, and I think you know how this works. If you have good notes, your paper is easy to write. If you don't have good notes, it's a difficult process, so make sure you're getting the key words down there. Let's again take a minute to 2 minutes, maybe 3 if you need it. I'll let Mr. Sullivan Kirschbaum make that decision as they're walking around the class. If you're working well, get more time. If you're not working well, move on to the next step. Get that done, and then we'll move on to our next step after that. So take the best notes you can on the video. We will then compare and case, and tomorrow in class we'll discuss this video. So get the best notes you can, and always remember when you're taking notes on this. If you're just doing your job, taking notes, you'll be able to use this for your paper. This is going to be in our causes section of the Crusades. And then you're going to get points for it for your paper, because taking notes is doing your research, and I think that's the most important part of a paper. So go ahead, take notes well, then compare and case. This video is on the Muslim world, focusing on 2 Muslim cities called Baghdad and a little bit on Cordoba in Spain. Take notes on it. We'll discuss more tomorrow. And then we'll have a ticket out. I'm sure you guys have been wonderful today. It's always awesome to teach you, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow.